think every single person carries something invisible in them. Empathy is a soft skill, but it's not softness. It's actually strategically very intelligent, and people kind of tend to underestimate the power of empathy. I've been asked this question a lot. It's like, how do you do it? It's like, I do it, I think, and I love what I do, and I'm happy while I'm doing it. I know Dubai is home. Someone asked me, if not here, then where? And I was like, if not here, then nowhere. I mean, this is home. And it's taught me a lot of things. It's taught me a sense of community, a city to thank for it. It enabled a sense of collectivism that I don't think any other place has.
Have you been?
I've been
Long time no see.
Very, very long time. How have you been?
Good. Thank you, Manisha, for joining us on our Season 2 podcast, Imprint of Success.
I'm so humbled.
Thank you for taking out the time.
I'm so honored to be here. I really do feel honored. Thank you for calling me here.
How are things been for you?
I mean, look, I think it's a collective sentiment across the UAE, across the region. I wouldn't lie. I think all of us have felt that level of uncertainty. All of us have felt confused. All of us have felt, what's in it for the future. But I think, and I feel there's so much of that collective confidence and collective hope that has come about organically in this city that has brought back feelings of assurity and a sense of security, a sense of safety that allows for us to keep going with what we're doing. And I think that has kept us abreast, not only from a standpoint of how it is in our families or amongst our friends, but let's say even my place of work. How agile we've been, how comforting we've been. I think I can say this out loud. Our HR director, she's a wonderful human. We even had things where we just got on calls during our remote working and spoke to each other about how we're feeling. And I think that really just brought us close and gave us the space to continue to hustle. I work in the advertising industry. There's no 9 to 5. It's we're sleeping, we're dreaming, we're getting inspired by thoughts that are random, to help our brands and help our clients come alive.
Yeah.
So it's been. I think it's a beautiful chaos, is how I would term it.
Isn't that a song as well? Beautiful Chaos.
Is it?
Yeah.
Beautiful Things.
Beautiful Chaos, and that's a tour of a girl band called Cats.
I am going to.
Why I know it? Because I actually like them.
Okay, I'm actually going to look this up and maybe even make my kids listen to it.
Yeah? No, I like that.
It is. It's Beautiful Chaos.
Are you a Dubai kid? Were you born and raised here?
I am a Dubai kid. I was not born here. I was born in Kuwait. I'm actually a child of the Gulf War.
For me, going through this as the first time, but it's traumatizing because you grew up during the...
Well, here's the thing. Let me tell you a little bit. When I came here, I was all of 7, and we came to Dubai as a family, but it was also at the time where we lost my father and my uncle during the Gulf War.
You lost them?
During the Gulf War. So it was while the war was happening, not as a direct result, but
it's just the timing was
indirectly.
Such.
It was all, we were in Kuwait, we left from Kuwait. Some of us, the timing was just a little bit. So it was
it just happened at that time.
Yeah.
When so many other things were happening.
During the war. So
in Kuwait itself.
In Kuwait. And so when we got here, it was short of a few days before I turned 7. So we got here as a family unit. My paternal uncle, his wife, and 2 widowed mothers, which was my mom and my aunt. We say chachi and chachas.
Yeah.
And then we left for Canada for a little bit, my mom and I. But eventually, after a few years, decided to come back to Dubai. Then I did a little stunt of undergrad in the States, then came back to Dubai. Then I did my master's in the States and then came back to Dubai. So I used to say that Dubai and I have a pseudo relationship, but actually now that I think of it in hindsight, it's not a pseudo relationship. It's the constant relationship that I've had where I know Dubai is home. And now that I have 2 kids, there was a time before, when I was single, I would always think, oh, I'm going to go and live in New York, or I'm going to go and, that's my soul city, and, I'm going to be somewhere else. And I did get a job in LA before I moved to Dubai eventually. But now that I think of it, like, no, this is home. And someone asked me, if not here, then where? And I was like, if not here, then nowhere. I mean, this is home. And it's taught me a lot of things. It's taught me a sense of community. And not just from a macro perspective, but also from our family dynamic. We were always, we're an unconventional family, right? As in, we're not a father, mother, kids. We are a paternal uncle and aunt, 2 widowed mothers who were rebuilding their lives from scratch. And we grew up as a very, very strong family unit, and I think that really set the tone of community, and then the larger collective community set with my extended family and then friends, and then every single place that I chose to even work, I somehow was drawn towards that sense of community. So I think subconsciously it's really built on that, and I do have the city to thank for it. It enabled a sense of collectivism that I don't think any other place could. I lived in Canada for a little bit.
Yeah.
But,
nothing like Dubai.
no, nothing like Dubai. That collective sense is very, very unique to the city. It was back then, and it is even more so now. So yeah, so if you say I'm a Dubai kid, I'm all in all, by soul, by everything, I'm a Dubai kid. Yeah.
And you are now head of strategy at Impact BBDO.
Yes, I am.
Managing Saudi.
Saudi, yes. Saudi is my major remit. So I've been working with the Saudi remit for about, close to 10 years, actually. I was consulting with them way back when, but based in Dubai, supporting the Dubai office, and
You don't-
travel to Saudi as well.
How is your life in a week? I mean, because it's Saudi, I know you have to be there physically as well.
Yes, yes.
So why don't you just stay in Saudi?
That's a very good question. In fact, I think it's something that I was asked about 3 years ago.
By who? Your HR?
No, my CEO actually.
Okay.
Bless him. Like, he has. I've been working with him for 10 years. Absolutely love the guy. And 3 years ago, when he was bringing me on full time, actually even before then, I think 5 years ago, when he was trying to get me on full time, they kept saying, move to Saudi, move to Saudi, move to Saudi. And I said, I'll move to Saudi. I have my 2 kids, I have my mom, I have my dogs, I have my family, I have everything. If I can bring them all along, was a joke.
Yeah.
But in essence, I think subconsciously, I just felt I need to be here. It was just this sense of a subconscious, a feeling that this is home and I can work from here and do what I need to do for other markets by being here. I have my family here. I have my friends here. I grew up here, like I said. My kids are born here. Dubai is home. But at the same time, if you ask me about my day in the life, I do go to Saudi every week, and because I have to be very close to that market. So
I mean, if you are representing, then you have to be there. Where do you go in Saudi?
Riyadh and Jeddah.
You go both places.
Yes.
Okay.
And Dammam as well. We have our clients in Dammam as well. So, and again, Saudi
So
is...
how does your week look like? Like
One
when do
week-
you travel?
1 week is in Saudi. On average, I'll say a week is in Saudi. And then I'm in touch with my kids online, through video calls. And then 1 week is in Dubai, and then 1 week is in Saudi. Again, I'm...
So this includes the weekend as well?
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes I'm there over the weekend because, again, it's, let's say they have meetings on Sundays. So I'm going to stick around.
Oh, yeah,
for
they
the
work on
weekend.
Sundays.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So I work on Sundays. But again, I think it's, I don't know if it's the situation or just the fact that I've been through that experience of agility, I don't want to use negative words, but I think instability, resilience, everything has taught me that nothing is permanent. And so we just make the best of what we have. I think each one of us we all carry something invisible in our lives.
Okay.
And I think that's what I'm so passionate about and why I'm in advertising or communications or as a strategist. People just fascinate me. And I think I really want to bring that to the table for our brands, to show and tell them that one size doesn't fit all.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are some common factors that all of us can sort of resonate with. So when I look and see in terms of whether I'm here 1 week and whether I'm there, and I've been asked this question a lot. It's like, how do you do it? It's like, I do it, I think, and I love what I do, and I'm happy while I'm doing it. And I think that's the key, is to just
you love what you
just have
do,
fun
you love
with
your
it.
job.
Yeah, I mean, there's no hard or fast rule about, how are the kids going to be okay while you're gone?
Yeah.
They are. I mean, I love them. They love me. We find ways to stay in touch with each other. When I am in Dubai, I'm present and they're present. And they also kind of get and understand that this is the normal of our life. And so I think it's about creating that sense of, adapting to the new norm and being more agile and being more optimistic about situations.
So this week you're in Dubai.
I have been in Dubai for a while, actually. Now.
Oh,
Yes,
because
so I
of the
haven't-
situation.
Because of the situation.
So have you not been to Saudi since the war started?
Yeah, I would think 8 weeks. 8 weeks, but it's absolutely smooth and absolutely, still in touch with the clients. And again, I think COVID kind of set that base for us. I think what it did for us was we caught on really fast. Again, the agility. And again, I think I want to go back to the sense that UAE gives you, right? There wasn't a time where you felt, okay, how are we going to do our meetings? But actually speaking, like suddenly Microsoft Teams or Zoom just became the new normal, right? And then everything became, online meetings became the new normal.
Yeah.
So I think COVID kind of set that for us in terms of, okay, this is what the situation is. How do we make the best of this situation? And I think that that's what happens. Like even when it comes down to me like not being in Saudi for the past 8 weeks, we have with our clients, with our brands, we still are in touch. There's still a lot of trust between us, and campaigns are being launched, and work is being done in different parts of the world. I think it's the ability, especially in our industry, to have that innate sense of trust between our clients and then with the agency that they work with.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter whether they're in your face or not.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it also gives you that sense that we value you and we will be there in person when the time is.
But if the situation wasn't what it is now, you would be in Saudi every other week.
Every other week.
So do you have a home there? How is your week in Saudi? Like, how are your work hours there? What do you do?
We stay, like, it's a hotel. So a lot of us, basically, there are people who come and travel from Jeddah into Riyadh and where our clients are. So a lot of us are put up in hotels for about a week, for the week and then head back. But even, it's funny, I stay at this boutique hotel called Judian. And it's like a second home now. So
Yeah.
it's like I get in and it's like it's so familiar. It's like
You know the
hey,
gym, you know the room.
absolutely, 100%. So I never feel like I'm not at home. It's just a day in the life, but just not physically in Dubai. But everything else is pretty much the same. And again, I don't know. I feel like it has something to do with that feeling that we all come back to is just love. When you love what you do, and when you do it with all of your heart, then the environment doesn't really bother you as much, and you continue to do what you need to do, and just go with it and have fun with it. And I think that's what it is.
You're interacting with Saudi clients, obviously. Are your point of contact Saudi nationals?
Yes.
Yeah?
They're Saudi nationals. They are expats. They're Saudi nationals. A majority of them are Saudi nationals. When I was working with Dubai World Trade Center here, it was Emiratis as well. So localization or being amongst the locals or citizens has just pretty much been the part of my job.
So how do they perceive when they work with you, senior management, women? How has Saudi changed? You've been there for 10 years.
Oh, I love this question. And I'll tell you why I love this question. The first ever project that I worked on was in 2015. Okay, so this is like way back when.
Yeah.
I remember,
10 years ago.
My daughter was all of 8 months. And I jumped on this project and with BBDO. And that was my first question to myself. And just to understand that, hold on a second, I'm a woman, I'm an expat woman.
Yeah.
I'm not in Saudi.
Do you speak the language?
Very little, sure.
Wow, see, and yet you have excelled that
Yes,
market.
exactly. So I understand it. You know, there's actually a whole joke at my office. It's like Manisha is a secret spy because she kind of understands.
You have an Arabic tattoo though, right?
Yeah, there's an Arabic tattoo.
What does
I
it say?
have a necklace that says my name, and this says Muqattala. It's actually a female warrior. So yeah, it's I do it. Muqattala, yeah. And so yeah, I mean, it's always been like I can subconsciously. I think we all, being Dubai kids, sort of have that little bit of. It's kind of a shame that we haven't consciously. We learn to read and write, if you remember.
Oh yes. I mean,
right? It's like we know. I could see the copy, and I'll be like, yeah, okay, this is what. But then I'll say, okay, hold on a second. I have to think about what does it really mean.
No, because the answer was in the question and we just had to mug up the last word. I went to a CBSE school.
If you feel like this, because when we're doing online learning with our kids recently, and they have Arabic, right? So I'm reading Arabic. I'm helping them write Arabic.
I don't
but I don't know what it actually means if I really until consciously go in and think about it. So even with work, it's actually, and I had the same inhibition. Like, how are they going to trust me if I don't speak their language?
Yeah.
You know, if I'm, considering that it was a closed
10
culture,
years ago.
10 years ago. And actually speaking, I asked this question to my CEO then. I mean, this same guy that I work with now. And I said, are you guys sure? Are you guys sure you want me for this project? Because I'm coming from a very, I would say, unconventional school of thought. I don't bring the conventional strategic mindset.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a methodology. Comm strategy has a left brain, but also right brain thinking. So there's a lot of curiosity and openness that I want to bring to this project.
Yeah.
And are you guys okay with this? Because I'm coming from a preconceived notion that it's a closed culture and there might be a lot of restrictions, and how am I looking at it? And the project itself was a culture center. So I was super excited. And all my CEO said at the time is, you do you. Just you put in your work and your talent and your knowledge into this brief and provide it to the client based on everything that you do. So from research, from data, but how do you perceive it? Because again, it comes to a point where even at that time, brands were open to receiving something that comes from a fresh perspective. It's just a preconceived notion that the world creates. And I think we also saw this during this time in the UAE as well. It's what we felt here was very different from
what the media made
it out there in different parts of the world. And we would keep getting texts. And if you remember, it's like, are you guys okay? And do you guys need to move? Or you guys should think about moving. But at the same time, when you are in it, you realize that it's not what the external factors consider in terms of what its preconceived notion is. So even back then, there was that. I think that project actually changed my mind, starting with that.
You're thinking of the Saudi market and the people.
And trusting them enough to trust me.
Okay.
I think that is, that's something that we kind of forget to think. It's not just about, they won't trust me because of X, Y, Z. Do we trust ourselves enough to think, when we go out there with our confidence and the belief that, listen, we're doing this for your brand because we think it's the right thing for your brand.
Yeah.
And so when we go in there with that confidence, the brand and the client will actually look back and say, actually, you know what? This is the right way to go, and let's go for it. And so I think that gave a very big push. I'll actually thank my CEO for that when he said, just do it. And up until now, it's the same thing. I deal with a lot of Saudi clients.
You've had a smooth sail.
We do have. There's never a smooth sail, right? Okay. So there's always a bit of a challenge. And sometimes when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And again, it's no fault of anyone. Sometimes there's just the chemistry is not right. Or the language is not understood, or maybe the culture isn't set for that particular dynamic to work, and that's okay as well. And so sometimes I'm, front facing, sometimes I'm at the backstage.
Okay.
But we as an agency always make it work. And I
Okay.
think that confidence that, it's I wouldn't say despite, in spite of being diversified and having, whether it's a man or a woman, whether it's, a 20-year-old versus a 50-year-old, whether it is an expat versus a citizen, we're basically all coming together to look at that brand and see what that brand needs and the kind of community it needs to connect with, and then that's our job. And so then all of that, lack of a better word, but also a great word, that ego is stripped down. So it isn't about who I am from a surface identity.
What about your dress code? Has that evolved in the last 10 years?
Absolutely. I remember the first time I went, this was, and believe it or not, it wasn't 2015. It was actually in 2022. So 7 years later, after working in Saudi. The first time I actually went was in 2022 to Saudi. And,
wow.
Imagine.
Wow,
So
okay.
that says something, right? It's like you still have that trust with our clients and with our brands, even though you're working from the...
Then why did you have to go even after 7 years? Like that's,
Well,
I mean, did you climb the
technically,
ladder and now you had to make
It was
sure?
also, I think, it became easier to travel,
Okay.
Visas were,
Post-COVID.
it became
yes.
easier to travel. Also, the dynamics sort of changed. People now wanted to be, having that in-person conversation with one another. And I became full-time with
Impact
the
BBDO.
agency.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was more about me wanting to go and meet the clients that I was working with in person. And so the first time I went in, and obviously I went in with this whole research about how to dress and what to wear. And then I think it was over time and quite a short period of time where you realized that people they're open.
Okay.
It's, Jeddah is very different from Riyadh. Riyadh is very different from Dammam.
So would your outfits be based on which city you're in?
Yes, to a certain extent. But overall, it was always modest. So it's not Dubai, of course. It's not like, we're here in our shorts and our T-shirts. And
But you would wear what you're wearing right now?
I can wear this and go. Absolutely.
In any of the city?
Depending on the client. So if I'm going and meeting, let's say, a client that is, very much a government client, then we have to have a certain dress code. But that's even here. Like if you see, there would be a certain, and we're an agency, right? So we're a creative agency. Sometimes we could even go in our jeans and a T-shirt. We wear caps and we enter. So we could go and meet a PepsiCo in a smart casual attire. But then you might go and meet a more formal organization and you will be, suited up. So it's similar to that, but of course respecting the culture and the tradition. Yeah, to be modest. But it made me realize, again, a lot of the preconceived notions that we have about a certain country or a certain place is our preconceived notions. Until you don't experience it, you wouldn't really know the entire truth of it. So there is a lot of openness. There is a lot of, in fact, I think Saudi, and I can say this, is a lot like India. It's quite diverse.
Okay.
It's very diverse. It's very colorful, actually. The people in Jeddah are very different from the people in Riyadh and people in the eastern region.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
There's like.
How are they different?
They're different in the way, I think, their cuisine, their dialect, their sometimes even the way they look.
Wow.
So people who are Saudis, sometimes they'll come from Jeddah to Riyadh and they'll say, "Oh, you're not from Riyadh, you're from Jeddah." So it's similar to how we are as Indians are, right? Like oh, you're from...
North, South.
Yeah, oh, you look like you're from... I used to get this a lot. It's like, oh, you look like you're South Indian. And obviously, it's like, we used to have a lot of that perception. So they have similar conversations happening.
But I don't think that happens here, right? Like in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, I don't know if I could be wrong.
Not at all.
No.
In fact, forget Dubai, Abu Dhabi. I think even within expats, there's more curiosity, but it still feels like it's one. I don't know. It just comes across as we're from Dubai or we're from the UAE.
Yeah.
And that just sits better or more relevant than we are like a melting pot of nationalities. We know we have about 150 nationalities here.
Yeah.
But somehow there is that sense of oneness, which is very, very unique, I think, to the UAE. I'm not sure if you feel it, but I definitely feel it.
I do. As a Dubai kid,
Yeah.
born and raised here, you definitely feel that unity, that strength in numbers when you come together. Coming back to the Saudi market, how different is Saudi market to UAE market
So
in your line of work?
yeah, so I'll tell you one thing. Again, I was going back to the point of how diverse Saudi is and comparing it to India, because it's huge, right?
Yeah.
It's a big, big, big country. UAE is a smaller country, right? In the UAE, about 10% of the population is Emirati, and the rest are expats. In Saudi, the larger percentage of the population is Saudi, and there are fewer expats. So firstly, there's that dynamic. So we look at Saudis first, and then we look at the expats in Saudi. Here it is, when we look at comm or communications, we look at it from a point of view that there is, like we said before, 150 nationalities.
Yeah, so it's more expat driven.
More expat driven. We got to look at, the perception and behaviors of all of the nationalities in consideration, and Emiratis as well. In Saudi, it is Saudi first, so it is locally nuanced, and then we move into the expat population. From a business point of view, I think looking at the UAE market, I think Saudi is pretty much in that growth stage versus the maturity where I think UAE stands. If I'm looking at it from a life cycle or a marketing or a brand life cycle point of view. Saudi Arabia is maybe what UAE was 10 years ago, investing, funding, developing the infrastructure, getting the market set up for an open economy. So we know, we've heard about Saudi Arabia. It's very, very, there was a lot of excitement about everything that was happening.
Yeah.
And I think now there is a point where it's almost like if I have to look at it from a common terms, I would say that they've shot for the moon, or they've done their thing, and then now they're sort of scaling
it down.
Yeah, I wouldn't say down. They're scaling it to the right, the places where they know things are going to come to fruition, and that's what happens. That's what we do, right? We test waters. We see every single place or business aspect or element that we want to try, put our ambitions out there, and then once we've tested the waters, it's like we know, okay, this is what's going to come to life, or this is what is profitable, or this is the market that we need to focus on because this is where the attention is, and so on and so forth. So I think right now that's where the market is with Saudi Arabia.
Does that affect the brand though? Because you rather, under promise, over deliver, but this seems the opposite.
So, no, it does not. I think, and why I say this is because, again, there is this, again, going back to the word agility, there is that sense of agility right now in Saudi Arabia because change is inevitable. And I think any market or any brand who does not embrace change is not going to be a successful brand. And this is from a B2B, B2C, all kinds of perspectives. So I think it's less about let's focus on the macroeconomics and then adapt to what that's doing. But mainly there is a balance about, yes, of course, look at the where the market is headed, but also at the same time, how can we make that better? So how can we make that more useful for the changes that are happening? So not only for the brand, but also the community that is being impacted by the macro situation, but also by the brand. So I think what is important is, from our lens as an agency, is to look at it, again, going back to the left brain, right brain, right? So we always look at it from, this is the situation, these are the macroeconomics, this is where change is happening. These are, let's say, the perceptions within the country, so within Saudi Arabia, but also from outside, within the region, and then obviously globally. And then trying to bring back that sense of confidence and that sense of, an alignment between the consumer or the community. I don't like the word audience because I feel like it's not a passive thing. It's not just an audience looking and seeing what the brand is doing. There's interaction, there's communication. So how the brand is aligning with that community based on everything that's happening. And I think I see that in Saudi Arabia just as much as I saw that in the UAE about 10 years ago. And again, what's happening now? With all of the uncertainties, how are we as a country addressing this?
Yeah.
How are we embracing that pressure? How are we reacting to that pressure? And then at the same time, what are we doing with it? So it isn't just about resilience. Is it optimistic resilience? Is it just resilience on its own? And I think that one of our brands, one of our clients, we sat down and we're working on launches. And the first thing, obviously, when this whole thing hit, and we're like, are these launches going to go on? And they're a very, very big brand. And they said, of course it's going to go on because, things don't stop. I mean, we move forward and people keep living. People celebrate their birthdays. People enjoy their lives. There is momentum. So why should a brand stop or disappear? They should be the ones creating and instigating that hope and instigating that traction or that momentum. The only thing is striking a balance between doing that performatively, like doing it as if it's a performance-driven strategy, versus doing it as if it's a strategy that helps, that you show up in. So you're literally showing up for your community. You're showing up and actually, serving the community as it stands. And I think that's where we come in from a comms perspective. Is no, this is too performative. Let's focus on how do we really show up. And those sentiments really bring things to life. And that's where I think consumers or the community aligns with your brand. I see this a lot in micro communities, as in I see this a lot happening now, for example, being based in Dubai and based in the UAE. I'm seeing this happening a lot across micro businesses and small businesses, where it's just so organically cohesive. People are just showing up for each other.
Yeah.
There's no agenda.
Yeah.
If you think about it, there's no, perhaps I think marketeers could learn from that. I think there is a lot of, sometimes you just open your space up for another brand because, well, maybe they can't afford to have that space, and you open up that space. They're not eating from your pie. You're just cutting your pie a slice more to share it, and then that actually builds your ROI, or it builds on your, even for that matter of fact, ROE, which is return on equity. You're building your equity, you're building your goodwill by really showing up for one another. And that in and of itself is profitable, in the long run. That's where authenticity comes in. And I feel in both markets, from a regional perspective, UAE, of course, has, we see it, it's quite natural, as in it's quite instinctive. It happened during COVID, it's happening now. It's like the showing up is quite natural to that tendency, but I'm also seeing that in the Saudi markets.
There is a resilience.
There is a resilience. And again, I think it's a much larger country, but there's a resilience and there is that openness as well. The one thing that I think all brands should look at when they look at, okay, let's look at and focus on the Saudi market.
Yeah.
If we think Dubai is not a one-size-fit-all, because of the 150 nationalities, Saudi Arabia is, as I said before, comparing it to India, it is absolutely diverse. So you can't say, how we're going to communicate in Riyadh is how we're going to communicate in the Eastern region, and so on and so forth. So I think that
has to be personalized based on region to region.
And as a strategist, I'm loving that I'm in that phase because it's allowing people to see Saudi Arabia in a beautiful light. Would you think, I'm going to ask you this question, do you know there's snow in Saudi Arabia? There are snowy mountains in Saudi Arabia. Yes. There are mountains with absolute greenery, like lush green, and not man-made or, human-made. They're just lush green mountains.
Have you visited these places? Or
I
can
have
you?
not. Yes, I can. I have not yet. But there are markets. There are regions and places like Suda Peaks, for example. So they're one of our clients, or were one of our clients. It's just a beautiful thing. They have men over there, for example, wear flowers on their heads, and those headpieces, you think, oh, flower on a man's head, isn't that more feminine?
Yeah.
But actually, it holds a lot of pride, masculine pride, in that culture of wearing those flowers, because it represents commitment, it represents resilience, it represents their culture, and it's beautiful to see something that you wouldn't even think. It's like, wow, I wouldn't think that this could happen in a place like Saudi Arabia, and this is on a natural cultural context.
Wow.
But then you also look at the way Saudi Arabia is building things like Six Flags, for example, or building ski resorts, or building they have beaches, it shows the vastness and the possibility that the space holds. It's just that it needs the right spotlight.
Yeah.
And it needs the right way to communicate, to show that, like any other country, there is that colorful aspect to this nation as well. So that's what excites me the most when I work with.
And you're helping them with that, showcasing the right spotlight.
A drop in the ocean, but it is exciting, and it's also very exciting to see that the clients that I work with, the brands that I work with, they want to be out there and show their authentic self, and their authentic self is yet to be seen. And I think that is beautiful. We're very lucky and fortunate to have brands and clients that we work with who trust our instincts. And so if we present something to them, some of them will be like, wow, this is great, let's push further. Why not push it further? And if we haven't shown enough local nuance, they will challenge us and say, you need to push further. This isn't the Saudi that we want to show. We want to show more. We want to show what truly is Saudi Arabia. And I think that is a beautiful space to be in right now, because you could see the brand and the agency sort of working together to really discover the authentic side and bring that forward into pieces of communication that we have.
Which is a bigger market for you, Saudi or UAE today?
Me personally, or as a market, or as a company?
Both.
Saudi Arabia, for sure. I think.
Even as a company.
As a company, it's a bit of a balance. I think as a company, our region is very much, I think, where the business comes from. So not just Saudi, not just the UAE. But there is a lot of, I would say, for example, if a brief comes in from a certain brand, there are briefs that strategically say we need the UAE markets, but we also need a strategy for the Saudi markets, right? So some of the brands would say we should have an umbrella strategy, but they should the umbrella strategy should fit both the markets. So it's not making, it's not a one-size-fit-all. And I think we are in a beautiful place to sort of challenge ourselves. Like what works in the UAE is not going to work in the Saudi region. At the same time, Egypt is another market. It's not what's going to work in Egypt is not necessarily what's going to work in the UAE or Saudi Arabia. So I think regionally, that is a very strong market for us, and we are a global creative agency. But when it comes to me and the work that I do currently, it's definitely Saudi Arabia. And I see a lot of that, like even within our UAE offices, we have a lot of clients that come in with not just the UAE to focus on, but also Saudi Arabia to focus on. So it is a bit of a balance both ways.
And how is their equation? What is your take on Saudi and UAE's equation?
Together,
I mean, is there a healthy competition? Is there some kind of thing?
There isn't actually. I think it's just, I feel like it's two markets I've never been in a meeting or a client meeting that
I mean, both want to boost tourism.
both want to boost tourism for
Yeah.
sure. UAE relies on tourism. I wouldn't say that for Saudi Arabia.
Yet.
Yes, I think Saudi Arabia is still trying to, and I think it's part of their Vision 2030 strategy as well. They're building a knowledge-based economy, and I think creativity, entertainment, all of that is something that they want to bring in to their to the nation, and also develop their talent in such a way which makes the nation not rely on oil as they have in the past. But it isn't like we want to be like the UAE or we don't want to be like the UAE or vice versa. I think they're just...
That's not part of the brief, that, hey, we want to follow this route, like how
No.
UAE did or Dubai did.
No, absolutely not. That's actually never been part of that conversation that I remember from all of my years of experience. The intent is very much, like, for example, if I'm working with Saudi Arabia, it's very much Saudi specific, which is great because I'm just focusing on the Saudi community and different regions within Saudi Arabia and the human truths behind Saudis versus emulating what the UAE is doing. So I think that's also, if I look at it, and now that you're saying, if I have to reflect back, I think it really says something about a country and a nation, that there's a sense of security that they have, but also this sense of showing their authentic self versus copying or emulating from a communication standpoint. Same for UAE as well. I think, yes, there are brands that will say, we want something for the UAE markets, but we also want something for the Saudi markets. But there's this, I would say, a subconscious understanding that both markets aren't the same. And you can't compare apples to apples in this case. Yes, they are part of the GCC region, but they are very different. Sometimes there are brands that will say, well, what we're doing for the UAE, let's do it for Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And this is, I would say, this doesn't happen so much now as it did before. But this is where agencies come to play and say, you can't do that. Like, this is not going to work in a Saudi market or vice versa. This will not work in a UAE market. People, communities, societies, culture are very different in both markets. And that's where our roles come into play, not only from a strategic standpoint, but also from a creative standpoint. What tone of voice works for the UAE is not necessarily going to work in the Saudi market.
You localize it.
Absolutely.
You give a reference of left side brain, right side brain. Like, can you elaborate on it? How do you differentiate what goes where?
Wow.
Like,
so tell me more. I want to hear.
Cultural and brand sensitivity. How does that work?
Okay. So as a strategist, let me say for myself, I think I have to work with both the left brain and the right brain, right? So we have to look at data. We have to look at research. We have to structure that research, structure that data, and I'm a nerd for it. I absolutely, I can't look at an idea without understanding or validating data points. And this is, again, a very strategic brain that comes through, right? So when you look at data, when you look at numbers, when you look at, that indicates a certain cultural relevance, right? Or it indicates a certain cultural pattern, or indicates where the brand is from, let's say, a brand health perspective, a brand perception, where does their equity lie, so on and so forth. Where that right brain thinking comes in, or the creative or intuitive process comes in, is when we ask ourselves why. So from a strategic lens, you're not just looking at the numbers, but you're looking at why is it like that. So I spoke about relevance.
Yeah.
Here it's resonance. And there is a big difference between that. People can feel or relate to something because, let's say, aesthetically, for example, we have a beautiful piece of art that represents a certain culture, in Saudi Arabia, or represents a certain culture in the UAE. The way people dress, and there is that relevance, it's representation, and that does come from data. But then there is the deeper part, which is resonance. And that resonance is more about feeling, is more about learning from that data, what is that making people
Connect.
feel? Yeah, or how are they connecting?
Does empathy play a role in your strategy?
A big time. Thank you for asking that question. I think for me personally, I have a deeper, I would say, relationship with communications and advertising before I even had a professional relationship with this, because and as an underlying aspect of empathy being part of the way I grew up. I don't even think that it's about a conscious effort. It's more of a subconscious, almost it compelled me to look at people differently. I don't know if I've said this before, but I think every single person carries something invisible in them. And from a strategic lens, I think it's so deep, but it's also so beautiful. It comes from a place of curiosity. Empathy is a soft skill, but it's not softness. It's actually strategically very intelligent, and people kind of tend to underestimate the power of empathy. People think, oh, it's just about I understand you and you understand me, but there's a much deeper layer to it. We look at our brain cells. We mirror neurons, right? We mirror each other in so many ways. Like you laugh right now, I laugh. You get emotional right now, you might feel that sense of emotion in me, and then maybe that might impact you in some way or the other. And again, it's not sympathy. You're not sympathizing with me. You are at a level where you understand where I come from. And when brands look at empathy or exercise empathy in their briefs, in their communications, it's effortless, because as an audience, again, don't like that word, but as a community or as an individual who is connecting or buying from you as a brand, it's as simple as saying, they get me. It's about they understand me, they get me. I'll give you an example of, actually, I don't know if you know Cannes, the advertising festival of Cannes.
Yes,
it's
of
like
course.
the Oscars for advertising, right? We love Cannes. So there's a AXA Insurance won a glass Cannes, which is like the Cannes for Good, and it's the purpose-driven. It's the most coveted, I would say, award.
Okay.
And it's purpose-driven. And their campaign was called 3 Words. Okay. Now, just think about it. I don't know if you know about this, but I'm going to share it. All they did was add 3 words in their insurance policy. Okay, their home insurance policy.
Okay.
And those 3 words were "and domestic violence." Okay, they added that into their insurance policy.
Yeah.
So was that an ad campaign? No, not in the conventional terms, but it came from a very strong insight. Is home insurance is what you cover. It's home coverage, right?
Yeah.
Like in terms of natural disasters, or
Fires.
something happens, or theft, or in case of this and this and this, and then your home is insured. But there is a very deeper truth to domestic violence, and a lot of women don't leave their homes because they don't have anywhere else to go. So they continue living in a place where they don't feel safe.
Yeah.
And they don't feel comfortable, or they feel insecure, or they continue with facing that domestic violence. And AXA Insurance just added those 3 words, "and domestic violence," and that gave leverage for a lot of women facing domestic violence to make that decision to move out, because their home insurance was covering it. That's empathy in action, right? That is, and again, it's simple. So are you making an ad for it? No. You are changing, or you're tweaking your policy. And that is, I think, the power of communication. It's not just about, oh, we do this and we do that, or we're the best home insurance company and come to us or choose us. We're literally changing the narrative for you to be comfortable in using us. We understand where you're coming from, and we want to create solutions. So that's something. And I think, from India, I'm sure you remember Share the Load as as a brand campaign. It was from a detergent company.
Okay.
And the whole narrative was about sharing the load. And the narrative was about how our society is putting so much pressure and weightage on women, of why, even if they're working, if they're, they have their careers, but at the same time, they have to be doing the domestic duties. And they don't, like, the male partner, or whether it be the father, whether it be the brother, whether it be the life partner, there's not much of a contribution from them, and it's more societal. It is a society language or conditioning that we've basically grown up with. And Share the Load changed that narrative and just created a piece of communications and a campaign that really brought that to life. Like, why should it just be women? It's a detergent company at the end of the day. I mean, they'll say, let's go out and sell detergent and, say we're the best detergent and we use this, material or chemicals or cleaning agents that makes us the best. I mean, yes, they can do that, but they're also changing a certain narrative amongst, or creating a positive impact in the society to make the community a better community for one another. And again, I go back to the UAE, and I feel like it's something that we can all learn from, because it came from a place of that empathy. It took a lot of pressure, during these times, but it showed up in different ways. Even when people were leaving, I don't know if you saw this, but there was this thing that they distributed.
Yes.
This little card.
Yeah.
Remember? It was
It
saying
came in the news.
that
Like a souvenir, they gave a memento.
yeah, like see you soon, and
Yeah.
thank you for being in Dubai, and for everyone, like expats, whatever, residents, tourists, anyone that was there. And you'd feel like there's always cynicism, right? There's always people who are going to say, well, this was all for, it's a
PR.
marketing thing or marketing. But let's focus on how it made that person feel when they received it. It gave them hope. It gave them a sense of understanding that, yes, I can come back here. Like, this is as much a home for me than anywhere else in the world.
Exactly.
And I think this is what empathy means in our business, is let's understand where the audience, again, I think this is the third time I've said it. I have this thing that I keep it as a jar. It's like every single time
That's
I use the word.
jars.
Yeah, that's not the word that I want to use, but where the community is, where the individual is that is interacting with you as a brand, that's interacting with you as a country, that's interacting with you as a business. Where are they in their phase of life, right? And show up for them in that space. And we underestimate how profitable that strategic path actually is. Because you're not just building a one-time story. You're building something that is long-lived. You're building equity. It's almost like that friend, that friend was there when I needed them the most. And that's like, it sets up the loyalty. It sets up that affinity towards that brand. It sets up the fact that you become an advocate almost. No, this brand gets me, and I'm going to stay loyal to this brand as far as I can. So I think for me, empathy plays a huge part. We exercise that across everything. We keep asking the question, why? But why? And as I say this, my daughter does the same thing with me. But why, Mama? But why? And I just was like, oh my gosh. And then I say, I do the same thing with my work. So I have to be okay with her asking these questions. But it plays a very, very strong and strategic role in our field of work. And if we are not keeping that at the forefront, I think we're losing out a lot in the bargain.
Just like AI play a strategic role as well.
I love that you asked that, because literally as you were asking that, I was having a back brain conversation. And that I do a lot. I'm talking and then I can almost hear myself or my little Manisha speaking about AI, what about AI? So yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. And I'll tell you why. I think a few years ago, well, no, actually, no. This has happened like so quick. But just recently, it was all about AI is going to take over all of our jobs, right?
Yeah.
I think we've reached a point where we've sort of understood how to use AI. Like even in our field of work and our business, we have agentic AI. We have AI to do our, help us do our research. We have AI to sort of articulate something, create, foundational strategies and aspects that can help us move forward. But the more we are moving into this automated world, the more value we are realizing for things like empathy and things like humanity and things like being human or emotions.
That AI can't provide.
AI cannot provide that.
But if you rely heavily on AI for data, somebody would be losing their job because you would be having somebody doing that kind of research, which AI can do now.
So I've thought about this a lot, and especially when it comes to freshers, right out of the market.
Like you said, that side of the brain relevance, right?
Yes, absolutely. I've thought about this a lot. And again, especially of young minds coming fresh out of university, so talented. And unfortunately, a lot of the brands and businesses, they're letting go of Gen Z, and again, for whatever reasons that they have in their minds. It's like, their culture is like this, or their mindset is like this. We don't need them anymore because we have AI to do this, and so on and so forth, right? But actually speaking, AI can provide you with data. It opens up space for a lot of us to put back our humanness into the work that we do.
Yeah, where it matters.
Where it matters. Because you're taking away time, admin time.
Correct.
Right?
But
So
then
it's like,
there was somebody doing that admin work, right?
But at the same time, when you look at the admin work, like, okay, I'll talk from my industry, right? So it's like, let's say we have account management, okay? We have strategy, we have creatives, okay? Even for that matter of fact, let's even look at doctors, right? When you look at account management, you look at client servicing, okay? A lot of the work goes into, let's say, developing minutes of the meetings, creating Excel sheets, having, CPSs that they're developing in terms of timelines and deliverables. Now imagine you take that as an account executive or an account manager, and you put that across your tools that you've created to give you that information. They've done that in that frame of time. You could go back, you can review it, you can see something and say, you have the brain capacity to actually be more intuitive. And you can actually go back to the client and say things that you would not have time to say, or actually suggest things or recommend things that you would not have had the time to recommend or think of, because your workload is pretty much in this span of work, right? Or in this compartment. But this is actually opening up a space and a channel for people to think a bit more openly, differently. Client relationships become better because, again, I'm going back to the point of being more human. I think way back when, I remember speaking to some of my colleagues who've been in this industry for years on end. I mean, they're pretty much dinosaurs, great dinosaurs. But that's what they remember. They're like, we remember sitting down and having brainstorming sessions with our clients, across dinner tables, and creative ideas would spark from there. And then we move into this space where it was all meetings, and then minutes of the meetings, and CPSs, and all of that. And then that interaction stopped. So I feel AI is sort of, because the work has expanded. It's not like we have less workload.
It's complementing your
AI
work.
is taking on that load to give you room to be human.
Focusing on the right thing.
Yeah, so whether it's a client servicing, whether it's a strategist, whether it's a creative, even with creatives, I mean, imagine there's so much more room to be creative now.
Yeah, because you're focusing on the right thing.
AI is a tool.
Yeah.
It's allowing you to bring your idea to life, but it's giving you that much space to ideate.
Yeah.
And that ideation was taking away, or was being taken away, because everything was needed, yesterday.
Yeah.
Everything was needed in one day. So what you do is you can't really, instigate the creative space in your brain to think of things, to connect the dots. You have this book in the back, Steal Like an Artist.
Yeah.
It's my most favorite book of all times. The easiest read, but my most favorite book of all times. But that's what this industry is all about. It's about connecting dots. It's about bringing something original by looking or having the time to actually observe what's happening around you. So I think AI gives you room to be more empathetic. It can't create empathy. It can instigate it because of the way you're probably thinking, challenging it to sort of think more, or put in more data points based on your thinking. But it's opening space for you to be more human. And so I don't think it's a threat. I think it's how do we use AI.
Take advantage of it.
Yes, and this is of obviously me being the idealist that I am, and not really addressing all of the other geopolitical stuff that is happening and the conversations that we hear on major macro levels. But if we as human beings at our level learn how to use AI for the betterment of our society, I think we would do a fantastic job as humankind. So I think that's where this balance needs to strike.
Talking about geopolitics, how has the situation affected your business?
So I would start with I think the tone is resilience. But like I said before, it's optimistic resilience. So it isn't just about, so it's obviously it's the external reputation that's being carried forward. So like we spoke about in terms of media, in terms of what people are talking about, and a lot of...
But are there budget cuts?
So in some formats, yes. But there's also, I would think, there is, how do you say, it's more about compartmentalizing where the budgets are currently going versus where they shouldn't be going. For us, as our agency, particularly, the one word that I can say for us is comfort. I think we haven't felt, and I'll tell you what, it was also at the same time where we were, there's a lot of merger and acquisition speak about Omnicom and about the larger network of things. So sort of change was already in place strategically and business-wise. But when it comes down to how the uncertainty has impacted us as an agency or us as an industry, I think there is optimistic resilience. And what by that I mean is not about, I've seen other markets and I've seen my friends or my relatives speak about, well, this is, there were like 50 or 500 layoffs. And that is inevitable, right? Like if you see even in COVID, a lot of people had to be laid off to adjust and accommodate for what was happening. But this time around, at least as of now, I think people have learned to not react immediately. I think there is an element of let's put this in our plan, but also let's try to see things from a different lens. We are not just going out there to be creative agencies and just providing creative campaigns or ideas to our clients. We're going to them as their business advisors. We're going to them as impact creators, right? So it isn't just about giving them creative solutions or ad campaigns. It's value creation. So let's just say when we look at a certain client of ours, we become more proactive in saying, okay, let's not look at this from an advertising lens. Let's look at this from a business lens. What is our business problem that we're trying to solve? When we look at it and see, and this is something that I've read way back when, is if we articulate the problem or the challenge in the best way possible, the solution becomes easy. So we have to help our brands find the challenge or articulate their challenge in the most simple way to get the answer. And the answer not necessarily will be an ad campaign or a social first derivative. It might just be what AXA did. Add 3 words into your home insurance policy. And so it isn't about budget cuts. It's about where do you put your money? Where are you? And that also comes from a place of security, because it's an agency-client relationship where you're also building on trust. So it shouldn't, a client or a brand should feel like this agency is not just in there for the money. They're not just in there to, elevate their media plan or, charge for hours. this agency cares. I
Yeah.
mean, they care enough about our brand, and they care enough about their community and the individuals who are buying into our brands, and they're giving us smart solutions. And I think that's the key to most of the agency client relationships and the dynamic moving forward.
That's the front part. What's
Yeah.
happening behind the scenes? Do you have layoffs?
We don't particularly in our, but there obviously we know that there are a lot of markets and a lot of industries where layoffs are happening. As of now, we don't.
What do you forecast for the rest of the year with the current situation? I mean, you have seen the yo-yos of the alerts and the schools starting and going online and resuming.
I think for our industry in particular, a lot of our dynamic depends on the number of brands or clients we have, right? So unless we lose a client, or let's say a client cuts their entire marketing budget, the first strategy would obviously be for us to channelize where this resource would go, right? Versus just, okay, they're laid off. But it really depends on the way our clients are operating. So if they cut their marketing budgets, then the agencies are impacted.
Yeah.
And that's what happens, like even if it is a media agency, if it's a creative agency, we are working for our clients. So
Yes.
if our clients say, well, we can't move forward, then resources will be impacted. And I think that's the nature of our industry in which we are in. So it is a bit of a...
Do you forecast that happening for the rest? Q3, Q4?
I actually can't say, because I think uncertainty has become so constant. We really don't know.
Agile, your favorite word.
Agile. So it's because there is uncertainty, I think there is also an element of, like I said, being more adaptive, being more agile, also being more proactive. I think the idea of being more proactive comes forth, is you're not just looking at it from a lens of dark times, you're looking at it from a place of innovation. So at leadership level, you're predicting the worst case scenario. But instead of waiting for the worst case scenario, how can you turn that worst case scenario into an opportunity?
Yeah.
This is where innovation happens. So I think this is where you become more creative in your offerings. This is where you become more creative in your services that you offer, creating more trust, creating more, maybe a stronger relationship between brands and their agency specifically. There is going to be, I think everything is cyclical, right? It's not I don't think that we are in an environment where we can predict what's going to happen as a black and white. There is going to be a lot of us waiting to see what happens and how we move forward based on what's happening. But I think companies, brands, agencies, those who become more proactive in this situation are the ones who are going to become more successful. Again, going back to the COVID example, there are a lot of companies that actually thrived in that situation because they innovated, they thought a bit more originally, they might have jumped on an opportunity that they saw based on the challenges that were there. So I don't think that there is a one answer of where this is going. I think it is about the nature of leadership, the nature of the company. It's that hustle culture, and it's cyclical. There's never going to be a time where everything is all okay, and that's also scary because it's never. Then you're always going to be complacent, and you're going to be left behind because there are others who are moving and advancing.
Yeah.
So I think challenges like this kind of compel us to come to a place where we realize what actually our potential is. The resources that we have, maybe one of, if we really go down to the micro of it, maybe a graphic designer is actually also a great strategist. And then I'm just saying anything. You utilize that resource versus just letting go of that resource. And that really speaks for leadership. this is where leadership comes in, that instead of just looking at someone or a resource and saying that we don't need this resource, we first say, what is this resource capable of beyond what they're currently doing for my company or for my department? And let's try to focus on that. And that can add value as an output, which can then add value to your brand and which can then add value to the market.
And what gives you hope in these uncertain times for both UAE and Saudi?
Personally, I am an idealist to a fault.
Okay.
I'm a shameless optimist, and it's to a fault, literally.
I think that's a great quality.
It's something that I think gives me or encourages me not just to look at the bright side. It's not a shameless optimist by saying, oh, everything is great. Like, what are you talking about? It's not that. It's the concept of understanding the reality of life, that nothing is permanent. Absolutely nothing is permanent. The only permanent thing is change. So that's the level of shameless optimism I carry, because I know the reality, as in I understand the reality of it, but how do we make most of that reality is what makes us who we are. And going back to my point when you were speaking about the whole traveling back and forth, and I think it is about making the best of what you have right now. And that is the sense of optimism that we need to live with. And so when you look at uncertainties, as a shameless optimist, it excites me in a very compelling way to think, okay, this is shaking me up a little bit. What else can I do? And when you open your mind, and I'm kind of going a bit more philosophical on this, but when you open your mind to that curiosity, like just imagine visually, you look at kids, look at our children. They're so curious, right? And when they're curious, that's when they have an open window to learn anything that they want. How do they pick up on languages so quickly? How do they learn from not being able to crawl, they walk, they ride their bicycle, they fall, they get back up and they do their thing. It's human nature. And I think as we grow up, as we become adults, we sort of limit ourselves and not really be curious. I think uncertain times compel us to be curious. And I think when we are curious, we realize what our potentials are, but also what are the opportunities lying around. And that shouldn't stop us from moving in that direction. And I think that's something that I've seen in the UAE. I've seen a lot of micro communities, a lot of businesses that have taken something that hasn't worked for them in these uncertain times and maybe changed it around a little bit to see how it can work, but not from a sense of insecurity, but a sense of curiosity. That let's try this. What's the worst that can happen, right? Let's just try it. It gives you time to think. And I think that as a shameless optimist, I think that is such a luxury to actually have that time to think and to reflect on where you are and where you want to be at any given phase of our lives, not just as a 20-year-old, 30-year-old, 40-year-old, but whatever phase we are. Every experience is a lesson that you learn from and something that you take to evolve into something that you can be. We're ever-evolving individuals. So let's just make the most of it and see where you go, and how you can serve the community as a result of that. I think that's beautiful. So,
you mentioned your kids. When you travel back and forth, who's with them?
My mom, she's my rock, and our caregiver, their nanny. She's been a pillar of strength. I'm very blessed and fortunate to have my extended family. So as I was talking about my paternal uncle, my aunts.
You're a single parent.
I'm a single parent, yes. And
how has that been? Raising the kids while working remote. I mean, not the last.
So I don't think much changed in the dynamic. It was pretty much what was happening before I went into divorce. So I think it was just adapting to the situation. There is, again, when you talk about uncertain times, there is a bit of uncertainty that, let's say, the kids carry, and how do you react to it? How do you reflect it? on it. And it's just for us to take the situation that is, and I just keep going back to the fact of making the most of it.
Yeah,
And
because you head
Yeah.
comms, like
Yeah.
you're head of strategy and communication. How do you communicate something like that? When you do it to the rest of the world, to Saudi, how do you communicate to your kids
Oh, that's
with
a
the
lovely
situation and what's
question.
going on?
So, with empathy and with authenticity. I've told my kids 1,000 times over, listen, mom is momming, but sometimes I may not be momming, so let me know if I'm not doing something that's filling your cup. And I think us as parents, we need to be humble about it. At the same time, I think I'm just fortunate enough to have a really good support system in my friendships, especially my women friendships, in my family, in my relatives. I think it's just a beautiful thing to have that village to support you, because obviously I wouldn't be traveling
Of
or
course.
being able
Yeah.
to head an entire strategy,
Exactly.
remit. And even in my professional world, I mean, I honestly have, I'm really blessed and fortunate enough to have a leadership that has that trust and security in what we do as individuals, as part of our company, versus being micromanagers. And again, I was talking about my CEO. He's such a big brother because he'll keep saying things like, I'll say, I need to come to Saudi. I need to meet the clients. It's like, it's fine. Like, just be with your kids. You know, it's all right. Like, and it's a big thing for a leader to have that sense of security, know that someone within his team will do what they are doing, no matter what the situation is, right? So I think I'm really fortunate to have that support system. But again, I am a shameless optimist.
I think
So-
what I've learned the most from
Today?
from you today is, and that was very insightful, is shameless optimism, beautiful chaos,
Yeah.
adaptive,
Yeah.
resilient, and that's what you are. You are a warrior. You are
Yeah.
a true warrior. No, thank you so much for being on our
Thank
podcast,
you,
Manisha.
Thank you for having me, and
yeah.
I hope I've served a purpose. It's,
Absolutely.
I mean,
You are a Mukatla.
yeah, thank you. So are you, not the female version, the male version, but I think we all are in our own ways. We all, I said this to you, we all carry something invisible.
Yeah, you
And,
started with that.
Yeah, so let's embrace that and acknowledge that in every single individual that comes in our way and across our paths.
Indeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.